Immediately after the Christchurch earthquake struck, or the second lot in 2011, I was working as an archaeologist in the central city, recording the demolition of buildings and the archaeology that was coming up. And it soon became really apparent that we were generating an incredible volume of archaeological information on a scale that had never happened before in Aotearoa, New Zealand, and there was going to be really important information embodied in that research information, but also stories about people's past, stories about Christchurch, stories about life in the city. And so from that, Christchurch Archaeology project was born. The aim of the Museum of Archaeology Ōtautahi is basically to make this incredible data set we have accessible and to allow people to research and tell their own stories about the past. So rather than just stories being told by professional archaeologists, anybody can go in there. Your children can go in and look at toothbrushes and start to think about how toothbrushes were used in the past, what kind of hygiene was going on in terms of dental hygiene in the 19th century. So for people to tell their own stories about Christchurch and to figure out what matters most to them about that past. The Museum of Archaeology Ōtautahi is an online database, and the public interface is designed for the general public to go in. They can type in a street address or to see what maybe was on their section before they lived there, or where they went to school or where they grew up. And basically, it brings up information about the history of the site and the artefacts that were found there, and also the people who lived there and who were associated with those artefacts, and kind of get to explore Christchurch's history in that way. It's quite visually rich with lots of artefact images, and we really hope those will entice people in. One of the really cool artefacts that we have found, and that is in the Museum of Archaeology Ōtautahi, are stoneware bottles from an aerated water factory in Lyttelton. On the bottles were printed Lyttelton, and in some cases Lyttelton was spelt incorrectly, and it's quite fun to find those human errors in the past, and it's an error that probably everybody who lives in Lyttelton or Christchurch has made. I know that I've made it, so it's one that's quite familiar, but also nice to see it there kind of preserved for perpetuity.